Good afternoon and good evening to all of our merry Marvelites. Welcome to a special Marvel movie talk. This is our first reaction to Captain America Brave New World. And very excited to be joined by the Sentinel of Liberty himself, Eric Connor. How are you, sir?
That was surprisingly loud. I am emotionally good. Happy Valentine's Day to
Of
you
course.
and all the Marvelites that we love and hold very
And
dear.
of course, our audience knows that this is our now second annual Valentine's Day that we're spending together. Last year with the romantic blockbuster Madam Web, and as with any good date, it is only made better by Adam Hughesy, the H-Man Hughes. I'm sorry, Cap. Did I just give away your secret identity?
America. Boom, boom, boom.
That's perfect. We've got another friend who will be joining us in a moment. I think the most important thing to share is that we are going to talk about Captain America: Brave New World with all of the spoilers that there might be at any point. I'm going to type up a little disclaimer to put up on the screen. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that because the movie did only come out last night here on the West Coast, it's been out for about 24 hours. Hughesy, did you see the first possible screening at your local cinema?
I seen the third possible screening in my unusual seat. I actually had to sit near the front of the cinema due to old injury that I'm dealing with, coming towards the end of the gout. So I was just glad to be out of the house, and I'm so glad that I did because I loved it.
Yeah, it's worth heading out in the February weather in Ireland in only a sandal because you have gout, right?
Oh, a very irritating case of gout because here's the problem. Everybody calls me an alcoholic because, to be fair, I do like to show it off when it happens, but I really don't drink that much. My vice is sugary food, and little did I know that I ended up with the Red Hulk's foot for real for about 10 days.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to share it with our audience, but you did actually send a photo to me.
I think that should be our backdrop.
Well, you can see it right there. Our visual audience can see Hughesy's foot. It looks like it's a still from the movie, but it is actually Hughesy's foot. I appreciate you joining us. And Hughes was already signed on to be on another episode we'll be doing about this on Monday with our friend David Brody. And I need to call in the reinforcements because not everyone loves America as much as perhaps I do, not as much as Hughesy does. Not everyone felt the same way about this movie. And I also thought it would be a fun mixture to talk about it. And I think that that's a great place to start, sort of overall thoughts and big picture as we talk about the big picture projected up on the screen that was, in fact, Captain America: Brave New World. Eric, just sort of an overall thoughts and what your expectation was and how this compared to those expectations.
Well, with all due respect to Hughesy as well as to his foot, unfortunately, this did not do for me what it did for you, sir. I was really disappointed, and I go into these always hoping for the best, and seldom expecting the worst. I'm always thinking I don't give a shoot what the critics say. Does not matter to me. I'm just going to go.
Yeah, of course.
Lost in it, but I found this one. I think there were elements of it I liked. Some of the actors were good. Some of the actors were surprisingly not as good as I thought they'd be. But really, I think in the end of it all, this director whose name is escaping me, and I think will continue to escape me, I just thought the action and the pacing of this thing was just not great. So, unfortunately, this is my bottom tier Marvel.
Julius Ona is the
Julius, right?
director's
Oh, he
name.
did one of
Yeah.
the Cloverfield movies. Yeah,
And there was a shocking comment after the film that you said that Eternals was better than this, and that is a hot take. But look, it's a true take. It's the way you feel. But who had better Happy Meal tie-ins, this movie or Eternals? You know,
Well, and
I think.
I got this so long ago that my Happy Meal still Israeli. Still
Yeah.
smells like falafel and shawarma. This was before she started smelling like borscht. So I'm very excited, and I tend to sell this for an incredible amount of money.
Yeah, Eric's
Maybe
lucky in
$3.
that his Happy Meal toy is actually life size of the actor that played her in the
To
film.
scale.
That's absolutely right. And it's interesting because, in the development of this film and reshoots and things, we did spend some time talking about changing the character. Basically, in the comics, Sabra is essentially the Israeli Captain America. And then my understanding heading into this was that she was going to be German. But then ultimately, it's like, oh, yeah, she's from Israel, but she spent a lot of time in the Red Room. So don't worry about anything before. Don't worry about the first half of the sentence. Okay? She's a widow, all right? That's all you need to know. Exactly.
She is Russian.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to root for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
And by the way, in the chat, Derpy Entertainment. This movie was mid.
You're a dickhead for saying mid. If you say mid, your opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. If you've the cure for gout, I don't care.
And he could really use the cure for gout right now. And the Great American Cupcake saw the first screening yesterday in IMAX 3D, so we appreciate that. And someone that I know exactly when he saw it is our friend Liam McEneany, because Liam, Eric, and myself and Eric's friend, who is
Lou.
Lou.
All right.
Lou the janitor.
Lou, yes, exactly. We all went together to see
Captain
this
Lydia.
film, and I think it was a late night out at the theater. The screening started at 10. The movie started at 10:26, and by the time we were done, just hanging out, jawing like a couple of broads, it was like 1:30. So we had some fun. I think a nice night out at the movies is always hard to top, as far as I'm concerned. But not necessarily everybody has to agree. Yeah.
Was your screening busy? Excuse me, Liam.
Excuse me, Husey.
Yeah.
Sure.
Was your screening busy?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't every seat wasn't filled, but I would say it was 3/4 full. Is that accurate, Liam and Eric?
Yeah, and there was definitely a lot of people there for a Thursday night. I mean, how about for you on your side of the pond, as they say? Was your full sold out screening as
Completely sold out IMAX screening. There was even 2 people getting into an argument because their stupid kid kicked the chair, and I was thinking, this is great.
You're like, this is why I had to get out of the house to relive
yeah.
all this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we were the last screening on Thursday night, and there were a lot of theaters playing the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, there was just no buzz about this movie. There's like, I've been to Marvel movies that late where it was packed or not even packed, but everyone was talking and like excited, and there's just no excitement about this at all. So it could have been an empty theater as far as like the crowd excitement went.
Yeah, Liam makes a good point that I'm going to use as my own now.
Please do.
And that the build towards this, or the buzz towards this, I'm officially done with the Twitter fucking film experts. When Anthony Mackie said something in an interview that was clearly his way of marketing the film to international audiences. Oh, right. Captain America, it's for everyone. It's not just for America. Clearly meaning that the French audience that he said that to was so buy tickets, go see it.
Yeah.
It wasn't his way of going, fuck America. And that's of course with the certain sides of the political sphere seeing it as I'm seeing them all talking about, oh, I get it, angry red president, I see what this is for. It's like, come on, don't be fucking stupid. Especially you, Liam.
Just to clarify, that wasn't my point at all.
I'm
my
on
point was
board.
just the audience we saw with were not excited. There's just no buzz.
Right, you didn't have the cackling or the howls at certain moments. So you're right; it was very muted.
And also, everyone just filed out quietly, like they'd just been through a court deposition.
Well, it did.
I should make it very clear, by the way. I just want to say I don't give a fuck about international audiences. I'm an American, and all we care about is domestic box office gross first weekend.
Yeah, emphasis on the gross. And you look more Italian than American. Yeah, plumber.
That's a spicy movie take.
He so doesn't care about international audiences that Husey, he even has you covered on his screen, so he doesn't have to look at you at all. I'm sorry.
That is so lame.
Yeah, he has a filter that everything that everything that Husey says gets translated into the Philadelphia accent. So it just has a little bit more of a homey feel.
Yeah, when I talk, all Liam hears is the Red Room from Twin Peaks. He's deciphering it, and he's like, "I'll get back to you."
Yeah. Well,
to be perfectly fair, Ireland will be the 52nd state. So.
Well, I mean, I don't think they'd have a problem with it. Do you, Liam?
No, they love foreign powers coming and taking their land.
Oh, you underestimate how bigoted we can be.
It's a pretty good sense. So, Liam, we were starting off, and I asked Eric to just sort of talk about what his expectations were for this film compared to what he actually got. Were you expecting much from this movie, or did it end up actually being like, yeah, it's kind of what I thought it would be?
Well, here's the thing: is the first time I saw a trailer was over a year ago.
Right.
And it was a very cool trailer. It made it look like we were going to get a 3 Days of the Condor type movie. Like the trailer, look, if the movie was anything like the trailer, I would have left very satisfied last night.
Agreed.
And it's, because it's like very swiftly moving. It had very cool edits. It had very cool like windows within windows and all that. And what we got was like this incredibly long slog, mostly just people. Like I would say, look, again, there was no, thank you. The two ugliest guys in the Dabbleverse, of course, immediately jumped in your replies to call me fat, which, like, if you're gonna do that, don't host a video podcast. That's all.
I just love that you posed beside a poster of Captain America giving Red Hulk a beach.
Just a brave new tip, nothing else.
But I'm just gonna no. Then I heard nothing about it for a year. I didn't even know they were doing reshoots because in my corner of the internet, there was practically no buzz whatsoever. I mean, I've been looking back now at like Screen Rant and CBR and those websites, which I don't check that much, and those are the ones that have been kind of like keeping track of what's going on and what was changing and all that. But yeah, like I just kind of went. I forgot it was coming out, to be honest, and so I just went because you guys were going, and it just seemed like a fun evening out.
Yeah, and by the way, I think that whatever you gents thought of the movie, it was a fun evening out. I had to do a make good for Liam from when we saw Craven because I ate my entire bucket of popcorn and didn't share it. So prior to the film, I immediately got my refill, which you didn't even know that you can get your refill right away at AMC.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, don't worry, I didn't pay anything for it. It's included. Plus, it was my birthday popcorn that showed up on the app, and so I think we're all squared away in that respect, right?
I would say my surprise more came in the fact that you had a brown half box of popcorn.
That's what the refill comes in.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, wow, okay, brown box. See, here in the U.S., Husey, we have this thing called type 2 diabetes, which is a lot like gout, except it's harder to get rid of.
It's more American.
It's more American. Yeah. So that's so. Thank you very much,
Please,
Christian, for
it was my pleasure. You know.
the thing about going to movies with Christian is he likes the seats all the way to the side. Like the harder it is to see the screen. I don't know if you took a picture of that.
No, I didn't, because I was enthralled by the trailers for 2 other Marvel movies we saw trailers for, both Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts.
The thing that Liam said about the seeing the trailer a year ago, what I find fascinating is, and this is a cheap plug for Keeping It 100 Official on YouTube. I work for these wrestler guys. And there's a big WWE star called Seth Rollins who was originally cast in the film as a Skrull, and then in reshoots he was made a member of the Serpent Society, and then he was completely cut out of the whole thing. And he was actually in the trailer, the one that Liam mentioned that came out a year ago, and they cut that part out too. So. There has to be, if Disney really wanted people to buy physical media and spend a lot of money on physical media, they would put those alternative cuts on the Blu-ray.
I mean, that's always what I look for and all that. And for our visual audience, I've been cycling through some international posters, and Ivan says, "Is that a real poster?" I think he's referring to the Indian one. And honestly, I don't know. I just like it.
Speaking of international posters,
yeah.
Oh, dude, wait, is that a real poster?
I can't tell, but I like it.
That's pretty fucking dope.
Yeah.
But speaking of international posters, I saw, I was looking up, okay, what has changed since they did all the reshoots and re-edits in the past?
Yeah.
And one of them was on an international poster. Well, first of all, that woman Ruth, I found out her name is Sabra.
Yes.
But I guess being Jewish is a little. It's a little not politically correct these days. So
right. Just to interject, that's one of the things we were talking about before you popped on, is that Sabra is basically the Israeli Captain America in the comic books. I mean, it's essentially their national superhero. Yes. So
in the poster, she's all suited up with Cap, and it looks like they're like a team and they're about to fight.
Yeah.
And so the speculation is one of the changes they made was like, well, we need to de-Jew this a little bit because
it's not even speculation. No, that's fact. They completely changed Sabra's story. She was supposed to be a mutant, and instead she's not. Even like the way they said her last name sounded Russian, but I looked; it's actually an Israeli term. Bat is like daughter of whatever her last name is. But in the way
good news for Falcon, because he got a lot more screen time than she did.
And I still have her close to my heart.
Of course you do. As well you should. So I think that there were a lot of changes, and it didn't have that feel of the Marvels was one of the more heavily reshot and re-edited recent Marvel movies. And there was always a feel of like, man, I think something different was happening with all those cats, but then they decided to go do something completely different. So we have a lot of great people in the chat. By being in this chat, they're automatically already great people. What I like about Sky the Magnanimous is like, look, I haven't seen it, but it's fine. Spoil away. I'll see it eventually. That's kind of the old feel, the old approach to these things.
Captain America dies.
Well, but which one?
You can wait on Disney Plus for this movie. You don't have to see this one in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get, of course, you can wait for anything to show up on streaming because they're there within like 2 months sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have an enormous home cinema like someone I know that it's actually bigger than an IMAX screen from what I hear.
But I have to say that sequence in the Indian Ocean, that's worth the IMAX alone. Like I thought that was the best Marvel action scene in a long time, where I was just that was like, so that's the thing that Tom Cruise dreams of doing in Top Gun, but the insurance people are like, how fucking mental actually are you? It goes very.
By the way, By the way, our buddy Daniel Drew went to back-to-back screenings yesterday. He went to an afternoon fan event and then just a regular screening. So he was pointing out that he was in the movie theater from 4:50 to 10:30.
Good
Bless
egg.
you, sir. Yeah, there should be a special merit badge for that.
Yeah.
Daniel,
he
were
was
you,
watching
By
with
the way,
Canyon.
Liam, as a future director, I think you should be thrown in jail for saying people shouldn't go to the cinema.
I mean, look, this is a movie that's gonna probably make its money back. So I feel you're right. By the way, you're absolutely correct. But I just want to ask Daniel Drew, did you go to the second screening to catch all the stuff you fell asleep through the first screening?
Oh,
Well, yeah, I
There were
think
members
that,
of our party who were fast asleep.
Yep.
yeah,
During the
one
climax.
of them was fast asleep, but he said the same thing my kid does. Is like, no, I was just resting my eyes.
I was just resting my eyes. I was just so bored visually that I closed my eyes for some of the dialogue.
See, I'm not hiding it. The last 10 minutes of the climax, I was out, and I woke up completely confused about what I had missed, and I was like, "Where did Red Hulk go? And why am I in the hospital with them now?" And then you guys said Liv Tyler showed up. I'm like, she did. I heard her, but I never saw her. So, but
Yeah.
I was dreaming about her.
No, yeah. Then you went home and watched that Aerosmith video with her and Alicia Silverstone, and you were like, this is probably going to be better than whatever I fell asleep during. By the way, Daniel does clarify that he enjoyed it. He did make a post. Daniel, please remind me where people can find your posts. I'm really bad at that. My apologies, but there were some bad green screen moments at the end. Other than that, I enjoyed it. There were a few things. This is one of the things we talked about afterwards. Again, that I mostly had fun and enjoyed it, but there were some scenes that felt like they were tacked on. For me, the Bucky scene felt like it was not there, and they were probably a lot of people asking the questions like I was, is like, they did a whole TV series together. How is Bucky not in this movie? You know?
Well, isn't Bucky in the new Thunderbolts thing?
Yes, he will be in Thunderbolts. Yeah.
So probably at this time he's off on just doing his own thing.
yeah. And also, he played Captain America in The Apprentice.
Yeah, I think you might have your facts a little mixed up, but
sorry.
yeah, I did.
Completely accurate.
I did see that. I did see that performance from him.
I will say, for me, what felt tacked on was Liv Tyler's scene at the end.
Yeah,
We were talking about this last night. It felt like it was filmed at a different time and a different place than Harrison Ford, shot his scene, and it felt like the whole prison scene. I mean, one of the things people were saying was that you got a sense from the trailers and the key art that they had posted that Ross was going to die at the end.
yeah,
And so I was like, well, that explains why that whole scene felt like he's just like, you know what? We just think it's great that you decide to spend the rest of your life in prison rather than, continue to be president. And then Ross's daughter steps in and gives her little speech, and then the movie's over.
yeah.
I did one of my real negative nitpick points was at the start when the Harrison Ford goes to his assistant, who goes, "Have you spoken to my daughter, Betty?"
Betty.
And it's like, yeah, we get it, Betty Ross. You understand? It's like you didn't need. There was a lot of exposition or expedition or whatever that word is.
Well, look, you're asking a lot for people to remember the Ed Norton Hulk movie from 2011. And, I was telling a friend via text that I had seen it last night, and he was like worried that it meant he had to rewatch it. I'm like, no, it's fine. They do a fine enough job explaining all of it. And since we're talking about Betty/Betsy Ross, my thought, and I mentioned this to the guys after the movie, was that we've got this, I would say, fairly epic showdown between Cap and the Red Hulk. And you're just like, oh man, there ain't nothing that's going to calm him down. And I figured that was going to be the reveal of like, look, here's Liv Tyler, or Liv Rundgren as she was raised, because she thought Todd Rundgren was her father and not that deadbeat Steven Tyler. But I don't think this is the show for that. So I just figured that that's where she was going to be, like how they used to use Natasha to calm down Bruce. And then it was like, so that was what was going to get him to not murder Captain America. But instead, it was a much less emotionally satisfying. I know you. This isn't you. Please don't kill me. And he's like, all right, you asked nicely. So Hulk not gonna smash.
You know what's great is like they could have had that scene where she's calming Hulk down, and the soundtrack goes, "I was crying when I met you."
Oh, great! Now we're gonna get a copyright strike.
If you can put that poster up, if you guys stand beside the poster, it looks like they should have started playing "Falling in Love Is Hard on the Knees."
Oh, you were there for the midnight show. Yeah, things got a little spicier that one.
Just a little bit.
I will also say one of my big complaints, and I'm not kidding, is at the beginning you have Harrison Ford as the president. You have a shot of Air Force One, and I thought we were going to get an action scene on the plane and just like, get off my plane. I really did.
Come here back, my family.
Make the call.
I didn't call my wife.
Really?
Well, there's a point where
It'd be good if he's seen Bucky. He goes, "It's the one-armed man. The one-armed man."
there's a point where Ross throws throws Cap out of the bunker, and I'm like, man, if this scene was on Air Force One, he could have turned to Cap and said, "Get off my plane," which, by the way, was not supposed to be the line in that movie. It was in there as a placeholder because they couldn't quite figure out what it was. And everybody was just like, fuck it, just leave, get off my plane in there. True story from a Q&A with the screenwriter.
What if he's seen the Serpent Society and he goes, "Serpents, why does it always have to be serpents?"
Get these motherfucking serpents off my motherfucking plane from, of course.
You were saying like that, like Seth frickin' Rollins was supposed to be part of the Serpent Society. And one issue I had with this is like, you barely felt like it was a society.
Yeah.
Like it was just a dude, who ran a taco shack in New Mexico, and now all of a sudden he's the one-man Serpent Society. Like I thought that was a place too where Lou was telling us that they added Giancarlo Esposito kind of late, and that's where it's like you realize, like, yeah, there was no sense of like the depth of what he was doing. He just seemed like a loose cannon, all out there on his own. And I feel like that's Serpent Side is kind of an awesome part of the comics. Like I thought that's something like they could have got a little deeper with.
Mm-hmm. My theory is when they signed him in the reshoots, he said, "Yeah, I'll do it, but only if I'm in multiple roles." So they were like, "Okay, well, fuck, we're going to have to do some type of thing where they end up getting along in the end." Which is what Marvel does way too often. Make villains villainous again, as Bucky said in The Apprentice.
By the way, Ivan Soto said he liked the movie a lot but didn't love it. I will never understand the falling asleep during a movie thing. I mean, it depends on the movie. Also, this movie did start at 10:30 at night. And as I had mentioned to Liam, I went to see Tenet with my wife. And this was back when you could only see movies at the drive-in here in California. And she was like, "I'm following it, but it's exhausting." So she just decided to go to sleep for a little bit. And then she woke up in time for the end of the movie and honestly didn't miss anything. And I feel like, Liam, that was kind of your approach to this. This is really the Tenet of the MCU, isn't it, Liam?
I mean, I would say I fell asleep during Craven, which
that I remember.
Entirely justified.
Great script.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, Husey's seen it now. The last time Husey was on, he hadn't seen it yet. So, but Eric, I wanted to get your thoughts on some of these, possible adjustments to the movie, and if you feel like they helped. Things that we're sort of singling out things that feel like they're reshoots or added scenes or whatever.
Well, I think what we have here is like a couple of villains that don't even feel like they're in the same movie. So you have the leader, you have Giancarlo, and I got almost no sense of any overlap between them. So especially if you're doing, Liam, you name check like 3 Days of the Condor, even looking at like Captain America Winter Soldier, which did a really great job with similar kind of elements in the story and similar thematic elements. And this one, I think that's where I always felt a lot more of the sort of re-edits, recuts, reshoots, re-everythings, was that it didn't really stitch together particularly well. And then you guys were saying about the green screen. I found a fair, like the scene in over the ocean was great. That's the whole sequence, or the Indian Ocean. That was a great sequence. But I thought a lot of the action scenes that were kind of earthbound weren't so great. And that's also another time when I feel like you get a sense that sometimes like reshoots and whatnot, like the action isn't as detailed. It feels more perfunctory. And I think that's very much what I saw here a lot. I mean, that was for me maybe the biggest issue I had with the film was the action wasn't really exciting, except for that one scene that Husey already name checked.
I would say, Marvel always has a problem with its action sequences. I don't know why the Marvel house style is to kind of like neuter scenes and edit them poorly. That first sequence, the first real fight you get with Captain America throwing his shield around, all the hits were off screen. Like all of the violence was kind of off screen. It was just kind of like it's almost like the like they were afraid to make it too violent. So like anytime someone swung their arm, they would just cut away to someone else, and you just hear the bone crunch. And that's a lot. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Black Panther, which I know is heresy in these parts, but I feel like
it's not such an outrageous statement to make where Husey lives, but I know what you're saying.
But I'm just saying, like,
titled over here.
At least Coogler, did the action pretty well in a lot of those scenes. And he did it practically, which I think helped a lot. But yeah, a lot of these CGI fistfights just don't land.
What did you think about what Liam's saying? Did you feel that we've sort of highlighted the Indian Ocean fight and the Hulk versus Cap, but what do you think about just in general? Because there's a couple of fights with Giancarlo Esposito, Husey. What do you feel worked and maybe didn't work?
Well, one of my real nitpick problems with this film was like, we understand he doesn't have the special powers or superhuman healing or anything. So when he would just sort of shake off, like being stabbed or being thrown through a wall and be up walking and fine in the next scene, like he wasn't even acting sore as to make us think, wow, this is so brave, New World, that he's able to keep going and deal with all this pain. And it was like a very 1980s thing where if you look at Die Hard or Lethal Weapon, nobody actually gets hurt until the main bad guy is dead. Then all the injuries suddenly turn up at the same time. That was one of the things where I was like he's really getting beat up a lot during this film and not having any problems.
The show where I felt like this was the hardest to deal with was a series that I loved, the Netflix Punisher series. You're just like, okay, there were how many drug dealers in there? He got shot and stabbed how many times, and he's still trudging through to the last room. And it can, I guess they expect us to just kind of deal with it at this point. And by the way, Chris Tudhill's got the answer. It's called adrenaline, man. And that's probably what somebody said in some office in Disney. It was like, man, it's all adrenaline.
That's actually the name of my superhero, Adrenaline Man. And he only has abilities for about 4 minutes, and then he gets tired.
I mean, the thing is, right? It's like
not Goutfoot.
I love
that's the villain.
I love John Wick. I love the Fast and Furious movies, but we now live in an action world where like the hero will fall 10 stories onto a car roof, damage the car roof, roll off, another 5 feet onto the ground, and then he's up and running like he's in a video game. And yeah, it does take you out a little bit when someone's just like, okay, I just got shot in the shoulder, but it's just the shoulder. It's not a major artery.
It went right through.
In Die Hard 1, John McClane literally cries because he's afraid of what's going to happen to him. In Die Hard 4, he's hanging off the top of a fighter jet.
Right.
Right. Well, Die Hard 1, at least he was the relatable guy where, like, he didn't want to walk across broken glass with his bare feet. He had to save my wife.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that every action here has basically become the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. What were you going to say, Eric?
Well, we're sort of talking here about like the action and bringing up action in Marvel Universe. I mean, you kind of don't have to go any further than Winter Soldier, because if you remember, I mean, all the action scenes in that were terrific. Like that one shootout on the freeway. Like it was tense. It had like a story to it, like a beginning, middle, and end. And so, like, they have done better with similar things. I mean, even that scene in the White House, I mean, X-Men 2 had that amazing sequence with Nightcrawler at the beginning. And so, even like those moments that could have been, instead of maybe like adrenaline filled, could at least been tense. I feel like that's where they really dropped the ball repeatedly in this one, as like moments that should have been like actually kind of exciting and maybe a little scary are not. Like, they just sort of sat there. And I think, taking out like the shots like you're talking about, like maybe that was part of it. But even Winter Soldier managed to not show a lot of those moments, and still you felt it much more than this. Yeah, I think the action work here, and I saw one of the guys in the chat brought up like Chad Stahelski, who did John Wick. Like, a director like that would have made this same script, same story pop in a way that this director did not.
Yeah,
and Keanu would have been in it.
Keanu would have been great in this, I think. And this is a sort of an unrelated point, but Daniel Drew does have the point. There were 2 serpents in the movie. That becomes a society.
Yeah,
right?
all it takes is 2.
Yeah. I thought those were Sith Lords, not societies. But what do I know?
Are you sure that wasn't the trailer for the new Karate Kid?
There are 2 in there. Yeah,
there
exactly.
Are. But here's the thing, right? I'll even take it back. I'll start by saying I'll admit I've always been indifferent to Captain America as a character. Mm-hmm. Even as a kid reading the comics, it just kind of never spoke to me. But one of the reasons I liked Captain America First Avenger so much, and there are a lot of reasons I liked that movie, but because the action was relatively low key. Yeah. And, it's like there were real human consequences for everything that happened in that movie. And, it's like, and when you're talking about a movie starring a guy with super soldier serum who goes from being a CGI Gollum to like Chris Pine, you really kind of, that's a series where you have to kind of make you give the action some stakes, because otherwise it's just, what we saw like in that fight with Isaiah, just 2 dudes fucking punching each other and not feeling a thing,
By the way, it's Chris Evans. Chris Pine is Captain Kirk. So,
who gives a fuck, man?
The people in the chat definitely are the ones who care, but I know what you're saying. And I was shouting out our buddy Daniel. Go to thephantombender.com for his in-depth thoughts, because he usually fills up the chat with them and we try to share them. But if you want to know what Daniel had to say. And again, we're talking about all the spoilers. So Cam Hagan doesn't care about the spoilers. Was Liv Tyler as Betty in it long, or just a quick cameo? Eric, what's your answer to that question?
I can dream about you.
You have no idea if she's in this movie, right?
I heard rumors. Yeah. But no.
I'll say she wasn't in it long enough for me to finish. That's all I can say.
Okay, Don't lie to this audience, Liam. You completely finished.
Yeah, she is in it, but she didn't bring her cleaning stuff, so I was like, well, what's the point? Just as a shout out to Karate Kid, I stayed up to 2 a.m. last night in my home cinema finishing up Cobra Kai. Thank you.
Well, we are very proud of you, and the
fact that you
could. And Daniel Drew does point out that the big guy that Sam fought in the chapel was Copperhead, so that was kind of the other one that we got. And in terms of Sam being able to withstand, some of the things that you ordinarily need to be superpowered for, they at least did enough of like his suit and his armor would be, glowing at times and being like, well, yeah, clearly this guy can't handle this much of a beating, but the vibranium, thanks to the Wakandans, can. So a couple things that I want to make sure we hit on. And again, this is only, the way we do things here. This is only our first conversation about this movie. We'll be continuing it Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. I can only imagine which one of us made that noise, if I had to guess. But I want to talk about Isaiah Bradley, who is the previous Captain America, who we all got to meet in The Falcon and Winter Soldier. I thought that they gave him kind of an interesting story where he's expected to take the fall thanks to the leader. And, seeing how we really got to know him in Falcon and Winter Soldier, I wanted to ask you, Eric, your thoughts on how Isaiah Bradley was used in Carl Lumley, the actor who plays him, how he was used in this.
It started off fine, and then once he got guilty, or framed for the thing with the brainwashing, like I found the acting got a little hammy at that point. like kept playing that same kind of like you understand I didn't do it. It's like at some point I'm like, okay, we get it. His hair kept taking me out though. Like I feel like if there was reshoots, maybe that was part of it. Was the kind of the Man of Steel issue with the mustache. Something happened with that hair, and so in every scene I was like, wait, did he get a haircut while he was in prison?
Yeah, the script supervisor ran out of Polaroid film when it came to taking a picture of his head, so we never got to know. But Ivan does feel that his story was heartbreaking, especially the arresting scene, but at least they do let him go. And Ivan, I've seen you ask this a couple times, so I want to answer it for you. Is Red Hulk weaker than Banner's Hulk? I would say so. I think that he's still incredibly strong, though. But compare him to the first time we see Banner in that Incredible Hulk movie, yeah, he's stronger. But by the time, right before he becomes Smart Hulk, I think is sort of peak Hulk potential. And Daniel Drew makes this point. Isaiah did get a haircut in the movie to go to the White House. So, and then he's in jail for a week, and it seems like he's been there for months.
Keeps changing.
So, yeah. So
just imagine all these people who are super strong voluntarily staying in prison in this movie.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine a prison that could hold that, the Red Hulk, for Christ's sakes. I mean, I feel like I feel like that last scene with Ross also felt like the studio had just finished negotiating to get Harrison Ford back in for a couple sequels.
Yeah.
So we might get to see Red Hulk versus Green Hulk before too long, is what I suspect.
Yeah. And whatever that movie is, it will not have the word Hulk in the title, because if it has the word Hulk in the title, they have to loop Universal in, and no one wants to do that. So,
and by the way, I just want to also say another thing I was reading today is that they were supposed to have a third Hulk in this movie.
Really?
And yes, the scientist. I read it very quickly, so I can't remember his name, but it's a scientist that also turns into a Hulk, and his character was originally in the movie, and then it finally was cut out, and it's just someone who helps cure somebody off screen.
Oh, well, I think we had the right amount of Hulks in this movie, But let's see. So we've got Sky the Magnanimous. I do think Sam Wilson taking the Super Soldier Serum, or half of it, taking on Doctor Doom with Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Ant-Man, She-Hulk, Yelena Thor. There's a lot of people. Doctor Strange and Bucky would be very interesting. Well, sure, if he's got the most powerful being in this MCU, and then 10 other heavies. I wouldn't look for She-Hulk in one of these movies. It's just a hunch that I have here.
Okay.
One of the things that I got from this was that realistically, I don't know how much more of this in the real world that Sam can keep doing. Like, he cannot be the leader of the Avengers, and it wouldn't shock me if he was unalived in Avengers. What is this, 5 or 6 that's coming up?
I'd have to. I think it would be 5, because I think Endgame is 4. But they stopped numbering them, Husey, so it makes it really difficult. At least the Fast movies know to put a number in the title.
That's goddamn right. Thank you, Vin Diesel.
By the way, speaking of unaliving, is this the first Marvel movie we've seen where someone puts a gun in their mouth and pulls the trigger?
Although we don't actually see it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that I wanted to do that when I was watching Secret Invasion, but ultimately I decided to, hold back. But that's a good question. I feel like we might, because you see that so often in movies. I'd be shocked that whatever we are, like 28 Marvel movies in, that we haven't had that. But I don't know. We'll have to figure it out, I guess.
By the way, the other Hulk we would have seen was Amadeus Cho.
Oh, was that really who it was going to be? That's a character on Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. He also has an internship at Oscorp. And that was actually something I was going to say about the most violent things happening just a little bit off screen. That is the Disney approach to that Spider-Man series that we review on this show on our regular episodes every week. where some of the most gruesome stuff happens just off frame, so that they don't have to animate anything too gruesome. So that's clearly a conscious effort right now, maybe even an edict from the Mouse House, as it were.
Just to answer Liam's criticism about the people staying in prison, it was because they were choosing to stay, so they probably could break out if they wanted to. But it's like it was that scene with Isaiah and what's her name, Sabra.
Sabra, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When
Thomas.
when they're walking through the prison, and Isaiah says to her, "You still think I did all this?" And it's like, well, she witnessed you. It's on camera, and there was hundreds of other witnesses. So yes, idiot. Obviously, she's going to think you have something to do with it. Dumb fuck.
That was the original dialogue, but it didn't test well in Peoria.
Another great opportunity for to be like, I didn't try to kill the president. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice.
Sorry, I believe I brought up the wrong Sabra image. That's I must have saved it in the wrong folder.
That's the Russian Sabra. It's a touch of
No, this is really.
Yeah.
That's just embarrassing. So we'll move on from that for our visual audience. No, Sabra is not the actress.
No, it is not. It's Shira.
Yeah. Wait.
Shira, Princess of Power?
I was just about to thank you. Yeah. He-Man's friend?
Did he fuck up?
We know the answer to that. All right. So Sky the Magnanimous explains it to us. All right. Avengers Doomsday is Avengers 5. Secret Wars is Avengers 6. And Avengers 7 will be possibly World War Hulk. Again, it will not be called that. Dark Avengers, Siege, West Coast Avengers, but he's just not sure. So he's putting a lot of possibilities in there.
Is World War Hulk the one where Bruce Banner's kids are eating people?
I don't know if that's it, or I thought that was a storyline in Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan, okay.
Yeah, it does all run together a little bit.
Hulk World is another one, and yeah.
Right, exactly. I like that in the chat, Liam McEneany points out that Secret Wars will be Avengers movie number. So thank you, I appreciate it. There's a very unlikely reference to a film in this. There's a major plot point that stems from a movie that I think that a lot of us would think that perhaps Marvel Studios would try and help people forget. And no, I'm actually not talking about the 2011 Incredible Hulk movie. I'm talking about the Eternals. So this celestial island is such a major plot point in this. And it's all like, you remember that thing from Eternals? And I'm like, well, I saw Eternals, but no, I only believe you because you're telling me that. And the context clues tell me, you don't have to see all these movies, but if you don't, sometimes you're like, what the hell is that thing? Do you think, Liam, that might have been jarring for some people, perhaps even yourself?
Well, I mean, I didn't, to be honest, I have forgotten about the Eternals, but what I love is when the Marvels came out, Kevin Feige was so proud of him. It's like, you don't have to have seen any other Marvel movies or TV shows to understand what's going on. Which, by the way, I needed to have because I didn't get anything that was going on the first third of that movie.
You definitely needed to see Ms. Marvel's TV series to understand her in that movie, despite what everyone said. Yeah.
But then this one, it's the complete opposite. Where they're like, "Oh wait, you didn't watch the Ang Lee Hulk? Well, fuck you. You didn't watch the Ed Norton Hulk? Well, go fuck yourself."
Well, and that's the weird thing of all the stuff to bring back.
Yeah.
Liv Tyler from arguably one of the worst Marvel films, and she's not great. Not even as beautiful as she is, but she's not sitting there doing a car wash with Alicia Silverstone. So what's the point? And then the Eternals. On that end, it was kind of like, well, is this what you're hanging your hat on? Is like these two movies that pretty much universally across the board people are not a big fan of, also didn't get a big audience. I'm not sure why they're pulling pieces from those two films in particular to sort of prop this one up. That didn't make any sense to me.
Well, I think part of it is, people were really fans, at least the ones that I've been keeping track of because of Megan's Law. They've been saying that Megan's Law is Husey, it's where they keep track of sex offenders in the United States of America.
I'm sadly well aware.
It's known as Husey's Law back there.
There's
Yeah.
there's a reason that Husey's never been to DabbleCon or Hackamania. Yeah.
But no. But here's the thing: is like they've all been like, well, so is the Eternals officially out of MCU continuity? And I felt like this was a little bit of a response to like, no, it's in continuity. It's just we don't know what to do with any of the events of this movie. Especially like people were really, I think, mad about Harry Styles not really being as big a part of the MCU as he was promised in the cut.
Let me just ask: when you say people, Liam, you mean
Liam,
yourself,
is that
right?
people?
I mean, that's
No, dude. Genuinely, there are a sizable number of Marvel fans who were excited Harry Styles was entering the MCU.
Yeah,
they liked his character, and then the Eternals was such a huge flop that just kind of like nothing from that movie was pulled forward, and I think that's something they were like genuinely.
By the way, I'm a huge fan of his character Star Fox, who was a member of the Avengers. He's also Thanos' brother. I mean, he's a great character. That would have been fun to get to see it, and we also are probably never going to get Patton Oswalt as Pip the Troll.
I know that's the real crime, and I was always hoping Pip would come back without any improvement on the CGI.
Well, yeah, I think that's what we're all hoping. By the way, who would have been okay instead of having Liv Tyler if we'd had the Ang Lee Betty Ross, which of course is Jennifer Connelly, but I also think that they wouldn't have been able to afford her. So I think that might be why she's not in this film.
You know, if you're making a $250 million movie and you can't afford Jennifer Connelly, you need someone to come in there and see what you're spending money on.
This is after Maverick. You know, before Maverick, you probably could have gotten her. And I'm sure that the career opportunities cinematic universe is only about to take off. And that's probably why we're not seeing her. One of the other things I want to make sure we talk about is, as it relates to that Celestial Island is, it's definitely for the nerds. It's like a new element called adamantium. And that was basically, I don't know. I'm sure there are theaters where that happened and people were like, oh, shit.
I heard a couple of people clapping.
Okay. All right.
That was
not like a huge, like I've heard at other Marvel movies.
Yeah. Right. It's not like, Cap lifting Thor's hammer and saying Avengers Assemble. This was a little bit more muted than that. Is that what you're saying, Liam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm the people I heard clapping might have been sitting next to me. But
wait a minute, I was sitting next to you.
And that wasn't clapping.
No, yeah. He said clapping, not fapping. But Sky the Magnanimous would have liked to have seen her in there. I don't know. Look, I think that you have the leader from the. It's funny. I don't even know who directed the Ed Norton Hulk, but if you ask
Louis Leterrier, who also directed Fast X.
Well, thank you for that, because I was going to say that probably if you asked Louis who directed The Incredible Hulk, he would probably say, "Oh, mostly Ed Norton," if I had to guess. But yeah, so maybe that's just why we have Liv Tyler in there. It is also a fairly small part. But I guess the Empire Records sequel is in turnaround, so she was available.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say Fast 8 was the best of the series.
Comment, Husey?
They could have ended it right
Fast 6.
Fast 6.
5.
Yeah,
Fast 6 had the guy driving the souped-up Formula 1 race car through London. It was unbelievable. And that was also before The Rock hated Vin Diesel.
The good old days.
We need to do a limited series podcast where we can argue about that, because frankly, Fast 8 was the pinnacle, with The Rock pushing a torpedo leaning out of a Humvee while running from a radio-controlled nuclear submarine.
Well,
but Fast 9 had
realistic. I mean, easily.
I'm sorry.
Husey, I know you know the answer. When's the next Fast movie come out? There's probably enough time for
it's tattooed on his thigh.
For you guys.
March 2026, and Vin Diesel is going to save Los Angeles from this fire.
Oh, so he's.
They promise you're going to film there.
He's the one who is able to figure out how, if you turn on a hose, water comes out. Thanks, Vin Diesel. We appreciate that. I didn't realize that.
Hey, cha-cha.
I didn't realize that Dominic Toretto was the one who was going to save us. Oh,
this
wait.
Guy has bigger problems with waterworks than Finish the reference. It's Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry. By the way, Ivan Soto says Fast Five was the best.
Well, he's stupid.
These are our people.
Doesn't mean
These are
he's
my
wrong.
people.
Doesn't mean he's wrong.
Doesn't mean
Stupid asshole.
No. All right. So Daniel Drew says some people react to that adamantium name drop in both of my screenings, but not that much. And we're big fans of everyone in the chat. Although there's the one guy who I will not be bringing up his chats. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's always that one in there. Which is funny, Eric. If our friend Katie was on here, she would be like, "Oh, you mean this one?" I'm like, "No, I said I didn't want to bring them up." Yeah, and Ivan gets an apology from Liam. It's a subject he's very passionate about. Yeah, so that's fine. No, nobody's fighting here. Everybody's having fun. So did that get any pop for you, Eric? Because that's not that late in the movie, so you might have still been on board, or you were like, adamantium sounds cute.
It seemed like a hell of a stretch to get us to adamantium through the Eternals. It's a big ask of your audience at that point. We're all waiting for X-Men, but it's so far off.
Yeah.
Think like how excited we were to hear, like, I don't know, Blade's voice, and that was like 17 years ago, and we nowhere near getting that film.
Do you mean when we heard Blade in Eternals, when he called the Black Knight, he called Dan Whitman? Yeah, I know. We're getting that movie. Jesus Christ.
Are you talking about Blade?
Yeah.
The vampire?
Yes. The vampire. The vampire hunter.
Vampire who hunts other vampires?
Yeah.
He showed up
Mahershala Ali speaks to the Black Knight in Eternals. So there are so many properties that could have stemmed from the Eternals that just haven't.
Mahershala Ali is a fine actor, but he's no Blade.
No, there's only one Blade.
The world agrees with you, apparently, Liam. He has no Blade yet, so we still only have Wesley.
Yeah, exactly. I hate to put up comments that will veer off from the topic at hand, but Chris Tuttle says, I think not enough people are behind my push for John Turturro as the next Batman. Very frustrating. And Ivan Soto does make the point, isn't he Falcone? So, yeah, it would make it tough. But
that's the problem.
Yeah. So in any case, does that mean anything to you, Husey? Do you get excited about we're like one step closer to X-Men because now the element that's bonded to Wolverine's skeleton is at least mentioned in this universe?
It does. It was very exciting for me, but I don't know if you've seen the report that said that the Marvel X-Men film will begin production in 2026.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming there's going to be excuse my French, a mouthload of announcements coming this year.
Yeah, maybe our friend Daniel here, who's saying it's so far off, we don't know when we're going to be X-Men yet. Daniel, I know you that when you're at San Diego Comic-Con this year, I know you'll be camped out if you had to see the announcement in Hall H. He was there when Robert Downey Jr. took off the Dr. Doom mask, and he'll be there when finally Doug Ray Scott gets to take over the role as Wolverine that he had to turn down 25 years ago. So, but I appreciate that. I think that, yes, I think we're about to get a ton of revelations, especially because Marvel will be done with their movies by the time Comic-Con comes around. Fantastic Four will just have come out. So now they're going to really be pushing whatever's next, the next step after Fantastic Four.
Do you really think they can't get Hugh Jackman back to keep playing Wolverine?
No, they absolutely can. It's one of those things that if he wants to, then they'll be happy to have him. At some point, he might just be like, I want to do another Greatest Showman instead. At some point, it's going to happen, right?
Well, not to add to the conspiracy pile, but Hugh Jackman was supposed to perform a big concert at Hyde Park in London, England, this summer, and he cancelled it despite I think he sold it out. And the rumor is because they will be in production of the next Avengers as this concert's happening. So maybe Wolverine is in Avengers Doomsday.
Or Secret Wars.
Because the thing is, I said, where did all that Jennifer Connelly money go? And then I remembered that like part of the budget is amortizing Robert Downey Jr.'s salary, and Hugh Jackman's salary, and Ryan Reynolds' salary. Like they get factored into every one of these movies' budgets.
But Liam, it's going to be okay because they'll both be producers, so they'll be doing more than one job. You know, Hugh Jackman and
Yes.
Robert Downey Jr. will be producers on the next Avengers.
And they'll be sweeping up the soundstage, and they'll be doing catering.
Let's see. Sky the Magnanimous. If the X-Men comes to the MCU, I mean, it will. It's just a matter of time. Give me an action sci-fi political theater. The
Never happened.
Faculty meets Chronicle, something batshit crazy. Give it to Gavin O'Connor or Chad Stileski. 11/10/28 is the date. I mean, I should screenshot that and email it to myself on 11/10/28 and see if it happens. But
Sky, I've been following your comments in these threads, and I think the problem with getting those directors that you really want is that Marvel likes to hire directors that are trying to launch a career, like who've done TV, or they're, like in the case of James Gunn, had done like a bunch of low budget stuff and hadn't done anything big, because really they need guys who are and women who are going to conform to the house style. Like when you get a Chloe Zhao, what's that?
Well, I'm saying it's like James Bond. Like for years, they didn't really hire big directors until they brought in Sam Mendes. Like
right.
Until then, it was always like people who were sort of middle of the road. Exactly to your point, Liam. So they can kind of, because the producers kind of run the shows of those franchises.
And even with Sam Mendes, I mean, it had his stamp on it for sure. But also, it was very much they were still fit in with all the other James Bond movies. Like there was no auteurism in any of those movies at all. It's not a strike against them; it just is what it is.
Sam Mendes did a TV show recently called The Franchise, which was about the production of a superhero film, and it was shit.
I was waiting. I'm like, wait, there's gonna be a way that this all gets tied together. Eric, I know that you're the one of us who will have to leave the soonest, so I want to make sure as we start to wind down.
My 4:15 became a 4-0, so whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, great. Well, in any case, what do you think worked best about this movie that you were ultimately disappointed by? I think it's always important to highlight those things. When somebody loves the movie, you ask them what they hated about it. When they hate it, you ask them what they love. That's what we do here.
Well, besides a perfect way to spend a Valentine's evening with 3 very handsome lads. Yeah, I mean, look, the truth is, and I'm sorry, Husey, you couldn't have been there. You would have been the lucky Pierre.
Again, Megan's Law. Finish your thought, Eric.
Anthony Mackie is great. I wish they'd given him a little bit more to sort of play with in terms of he could be really funny, and it's not much humor in this one. Yes, he's very even in Happy Meal form. He's very handsome. So I think like they did well with him. I think his suit is cool. The Loki sauce wasn't in this, and the movie still was okay, I guess. Yeah. But I think they've set him up nicely. I agree that I don't quite see him as leading the Avengers, but I think they've definitely set up in a way that he'll be important in Doomsday and Secret Wars. So I think if nothing else, just kind of keeping him active, rebranding him, I think that all worked quite well.
Yeah, I think that I don't know, and I'm going to ask you in a second, Liam, because I understand your overall thoughts on the movie. To me, I felt like this was really Anthony Mackie's movie to carry, and I felt like for the most part he did. Harrison Ford is the window dressing that you have, the eye candy, if you will. But I think that he was engaging, starring in this. I mean, even in the TV series, he shared screen time mostly with Sebastian Stan. But what did you think about Anthony Mackie in this movie, Liam? Do you feel like he was well utilized, or was it not a good fit for you?
I'll say a couple of things. First of all, I shouldn't be enjoying watching a movie more than Harrison Ford is being in it. And just because that's what was happening. And just Ivan keeps asking this in the chat, and I just want to answer it real quick. The reason he was in prison at the end was because he was actually torturing people, and he had direct knowledge of illegal activities that he had personally authorized. And I just want to answer that. But
And
I
he
guess
had something on his hard drive.
Yes.
6,000 somethings on his hard drive.
Yes,
Uh,
because he was in the
But then
movie Firewall. That was why.
the thing about Anthony Mackie is, I think Anthony Mackie's a legit movie star. I think he's a guy who definitely carries this movie on his own. I just think that for whatever reason, they were trying to fit him into this mold of a Will Smith type star, where he's like doing some real like like now I'm busting your chops low key, but I consider you like a little brother and it's all cool. And that's not Anthony Mackie's zone. He's not like the laid back Will Smith kind of like everyman superstar. He's a real fucking tough guy, and he's not like a super emotive guy. And by the way, fucking stars from John Wayne to fuck, I can't think of the guy. I mean,
Peter
Robert Downey Jr. What's that?
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. I mean, whatever. But Sean Bean. Like they all carry movies not being that guy. I think it's very interesting that they're trying to make Anthony Mackie into something that he's not 100% great at.
Yeah. And Daniel Drew says that he's a president taking accountability for his crimes. But the second part of his comment we'll save for another time because I don't want this to turn into a political conversation about anyone other than President Thunderbolt Ross. Skyler Magnanimous wishes that Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford, and Danny Ramirez were in a better film within Captain America: Brave New World. Yeah, I can understand that criticism. I mean, I was able to enjoy it. I think that some of the sequences were consistent with what I like about other Marvel movies. Earlier, Liam was talking about Captain America: The First Avenger, which has long stood as my favorite of all the MCU movies because it's the one that like is a great movie with a wonderful story and everything. And it happens to have some superhero stuff. Usually you're like starting with the foundation is the superhero stuff, and then you build on top of it. So I think that that's still my favorite. And obviously Winter Soldier was great. I feel like this kind of keeps in line with the Cap movies. The third one, of course, being Civil War. Which I
rewatched again recently. Did not care for.
Did not care for it. Even though Spider-Man was in it, I do remember that there was a lot of excitement about that.
Spider-Man's been in a couple movies. I'm over it.
No, it's a hot take right there. So I think that this is kind of consistent with the reactions have been to this movie in general. Not everybody's blown away by it. I know, Husey, you did highlight one of your criticisms. Are there others? And again, we'll be talking more with Husey and our friend David Brody on Monday. But I wanted to let you chime in and rain on Anthony Mackie's parade if need be.
Well, I'm a big Anthony Mackie fan this week because in my palatial home cinema, I just watched his film Elevation, which I was told was crap, but I watched it. It was actually pretty good. It's about people who... It's basically like The Quiet Place, but for height instead of sound. So go watch it. And that the Morwana, somebody from Deadpool, is his co-star in it, and she's pretty good actor. But anyway, no, I did like Captain America 4. I just think that things like Sam Wilson having no pain or no injuries during it was silly. I thought some of the dialogue was bad, and I really didn't like the song picks. Like, I'm a rap fan, but that Kendrick Lamar song they picked for the end credits was shit. Like, and it didn't make any sense where he's speaking to someone in a hospital bed, and then old school soul music kicks in and there's a guy rapping. It's like, what are we partying for?
You're a Drake defender, admit it, Husey.
I got the feeling that there was another song there, and then Kendrick had a moment, and Marvel was like, "Oh fuck, let's get Kendrick. Let's get Kendrick."
Yeah. You know what? I think that actually makes sense. We were talking about Harrison Ford, and Liam said you that idea that you're trying to enjoy a movie more than he enjoys being there. I mean, have you seen any of the Star Wars movies? I guess is the first question. Did you see Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull? But there is this clip from an interview that's making the rounds that I want to share. You guys can see this clip right now.
The frozen frame alone is worth it.
Yeah, it kind of. So
Wake
let me
up,
know.
Harrison. You're on camera.
Don't worry, he will. Let me know if you're not hearing it. Otherwise, we'll give a listen.
Ali McBeal's on.
Part of your brain that says, I look like an idiot when I'm playing a Red Hulk. You know, the behind the scenes footage of this, you probably look like an insane human being.
I don't want to break your bubble, but that's what the money is for.
To silence that part of your brain.
Gone. Gone.
It's like magic.
Now, if I wanted to be a dick, I would stop the clip here. But let's just keep listening.
It's not magic. It's commerce. No. But
Yeah,
which is not to say that I'll take money for anything.
sure.
No. I want
Except
to
for
make
Star
sure the
Wars.
trip I'm on is one that an audience will follow.
Yeah, so then he goes on to say that. Do you think that addresses what you were talking about, Liam?
You might be able to write this shit, George, but you can't say it.
Look, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that he was in it. You know, we've talked about William Hurt, the actor who previously portrayed Thunderbolt Ross, who passed on. So if there was going to be a recast, why not have it be Indiana Solo? You know, so it's fun to have him in this film. But yeah, I mean, are we going to see him in another one? Do you think, Liam? Or he was like, no, I'm good. Somebody else can be Red Hulk now.
No, like I said, I really do think that prison scene was them nailing down Harrison Ford for at least one more sequel. Because look, he's a guy who said he would never do Star Wars again.
Yeah,
and then he did Star Wars again, and I guarantee it was because Disney came up with the money that the agent was asking for. And so there's a lot of these guys. I mean, you saw Al Pacino in Jack and Jill, and that's because
Great film.
He was 40
Golden
million.
Raspberry winning performance, in fact.
true.
But that's because he was 40 million in debt, and suddenly Adam Sandler was like, "How'd you like $20 million to make a complete ass of yourself?"
Yeah.
So I think you'll see Harrison Ford continuing. I mean,
I mean, the next Marvel film is called The Thunderbolts, and Harrison Ford is in it.
I thought that was a TV series.
No,
What?
that is a movie. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Wait, and Harrison Ford's definitely in it, you say?
Definitely in it.
Okay.
So I don't know if he'd be like the post-credits scene of being broken out of prison, or maybe he's actually the villain and the marketing's trying to throw us off. But Harrison Ford is definitely back in Thunderbolts, baby.
Well, and that leads me to sort of my final point for Liam and Eric. I kind of know the answer. Does this movie give you any pause, or just feel like, you know what, I don't need to see Thunderbolts, or I don't need to see Fantastic Four, or do you feel like, well, these movies kind of live in their own atmosphere, and the next one could actually be great and exactly what I'm looking for? Liam.
Oh, me? I'm sorry. What was
All right, that's my fault.
No,
Are you less likely to see the next movies? Because
I'm
you
looking
didn't
up the Captain America box office. I'm sorry. Repeat the question.
Are you less likely to see Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four this year because this one let you down?
It's nothing to do with this movie. It's like this. Fantastic Four at least looks very stylish, and it looks like they're trying to do something interesting with the characters and kind of. But the thing is, I can't trust these trailers because that's what this other movie's trailer felt like. With Thunderbolts, I mean, I'm a fan of David Harbour, and a lot of the actors in that movie. It's just the trailer that I saw last night, or that I've seen, anything I've seen from that movie so far, it just makes me feel like, well, James Gunn did this better with a movie and a TV series. I don't know if I need to watch this again.
Yeah, there are definitely the Suicide Squad vibes, not regular Suicide Squad. Yeah, not Suicide Squad. Yeah,
What's that?
and I said the in just a different way. I pronounced it differently. And Peacemaker. Eric, ultimately, are you so disappointed that you're going to put your Happy Meal toys up on eBay, or what does this do for you? And remember, you had said after the movie that your son was going to want to see it. Are you going to have a problem going to see it again with your kid?
Well, I still need to see what the heck happened in the last 15 minutes of the film, so I will have to go see it again. And thankfully, AMC, whatever it's called, the Studs,
A-list, yes,
A-list, the C-list, whatever I am. Like I'll go see it again, I'm sure. Although he's 16, so he's going to go see it with his buddies instead of his old man father. I mean, I'm a completist. I'm going to see every Marvel movie. I will watch every Marvel TV show, and that's not going to change. They couldn't do anything to turn me off going to actually see this. Now, that all being said, maybe my excitement's a little tempered, but the Thunderbolts, I agree, Liam. It there is a sense of been there, done that, but that cast is terrific, and at least it seems like that has its own really specific personality, which kind of all I'm looking for in all these properties is like at least be your own thing. Even Agatha, which pleasantly surprised me repeatedly. I thought, okay, well, I see what they're kind of trying to do here, and more times than not, they got it. So even though like this one, I disappointed me pretty greatly, but in the end of it all, like there's still so many great moving parts to the MCU that I'm not throwing in the towel, and this is not my swan song on Marvel movie talk, Christian. So yeah, of course I'm going to keep.
That's what I was hoping for.
I'm going to give you two words as a refutation: Kelly's Heroes. World War II movie, action film, Clint Eastwood, Don Rickles, a bunch of men in supporting roles, complete piece of shit. Right? And it's like you can have all the elements, but if they don't come together,
I don't think it's a hot take to say the
theme
original the original Ocean's 11 is awful. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's terrible. By the way, Cupcakes Corner with American Cupcakes says, love AMC A-list. Yeah, come sponsor the show. Thank you. That's why I say that. So,
by the way, we're going to get 4 movies a week, which is means I'll be missing 3 of my movies a week from now on.
Yeah, I know. It is exciting for the A-list. And I'm sure that they're not adding a 4th movie to us every week because they're going to raise the price by $10 a month. I'm sure that's not why they're doing it.
At the risk of outing myself, I am not an AMC stockholder, but if you say you are, you get things like free ices, or a little sample popcorn that's about the same size as Shira Haas. That's literally like this size.
It's Sombra sized.
So yes, all you AMC members, just say you're a stockholder and you get so much good free stuff. Almost makes it worth an extra $2.
I really thought she was a little person up until I Googled her when I got home.
She technically, legally might be, actually. She is, I think, under 5 feet.
But she's proportional. She might be a midget. I mean, I know that's an offensive word now.
Right. She's not either way. The
proper word is fidget.
the fidget spinner. Husey, I know you're going to do your homework before our next episode. You're talking about seeing this movie again. Are you going to see it on a bigger screen? And by that, I mean at your home cinema?
I don't know if it's worthy of the bigger screen. It'll be at the end of the day. I love this, and I just sent Eric on Instagram my Red Hulk guide foot photograph.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this was a win for me. I am very looking forward to Thunderbolts, and the fact that it's not officially been confirmed, but Downey Jr. is in Fantastic Four. Sold. Just get more Marvel. Make them. Even an average Marvel film is better than most of the blockbuster shit that I'm bored of. So I think this is going to be a good year. Daredevil looks good.
Yeah.
There's a Captain America and Black Panther video game coming out that looks like porn to me. I just I'm a big Marvel guy in 2025.
Can I just also point out something? This is why I was Googling instead of listening to you earlier, Christian. I'm sorry. So right now, box office wise, this movie is underperforming. It's unless people get really excited and come out in droves this weekend, it's going to make about 90 million, which is actually I think less than Quantum Mania made. So unless there's a big international boost for this movie, which there probably won't be because China's actually developed its own blockbuster series system now. So it looks like this will be another in a string of Marvel movies that won't make its money back ultimately.
Well, while you're quantifying the international box office, did you not hear me say that Hughesy's going to go see it a second time? So,
Oh, well, in that case, sorry. Well, in that case, Ireland will be bumped up to $22.
I'm going to ask the chat, and I'll also ask Husey. Does anybody want to see a picture of Hughesy's gout foot?
No.
Because I'm not going to show it.
I did anyway, but I didn't want to.
I'm gonna print that. I'm putting that on a T-shirt from when we see
right.
Thunderbolts.
You know what? That's something to get people to tune in on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
By the way, thank you for that, Husey. What was great was I opened my DMs. I saw a picture of your normal foot, and I was like, "Oh, that doesn't so bad." And then I scrolled up, and then suddenly there was your gout foot, and I was like, there it is.
It's the same way. I don't know. Chris Tuttle wants to see it, but
I say, can we give them a teaser of it?
First taste is free.
Only
Then you
show
gotta
it-
pay.
Give us a toe.
If you can make
it's
it
another
black
win
and,
for the toe.
Super chat to see the ankle.
if you can make it black and white, show them, and then we'll do the color version on the next episode.
So Kyle in the chat, great to see you, Kyle. Looked it up. So the actress is 4'11", and the cutoff for that term is actually 4'10". So
She's
she
legal,
just makes
fellas.
the cut. Yeah.
Is she seeing anybody?
Only part of them.
Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, and thank you, Sky the Magnanimous, and thanks everybody for being there. I'll have to see if Brody wants to see your gout foot. But boy, what a great way to tease our future episode, to let everybody know that they might get to see Hughesy's gout foot. Yes, Eric.
Is it bigger? Is your gout foot bigger or smaller than 4 foot 10 inches?
They used it in the Indian Ocean scene.
That was the celestial in the ocean was your foot.
Well, Eric, if you check your Instagram right now, it'll be in, so we can get your live reaction to the photo.
I guess I have to.
I think you have to look at it.
Reaction
now.
videos are big, Eric. We need this.
Yeah, exactly. This is basically like.
Can we
having
go full screen on Eric?
Yeah, that's exactly what.
By the way,
I want.
Hughes,
So was I tagged in this image or is it in my message?
No, it's
in your
it's
DM.
DMs. Yeah, he slid into
you
your
slid in my
DMs.
DM with that foot of yours.
by the way,
Who the
Hughes,
fuck is Adam Hughes? Oh wait, that's you.
my genuine condolences.
Don't
on-
dox him. What are you doing? Oh, okay, that's his reaction.
Oh
See.
God, Hughesy, I'm so. Do I need to send you my blood?
Yeah.
No, I've got enough of it, as
Not-
you can see.
Not that fluid. That's not the one he wants. But
Well, the rest I already sent him.
oh yeah, obviously.
I've been a fan.
Though if it helps, it's getting better. I just can't bend my toes. So I'm walking like I survived. Well, I'm not going to say that.
Thank
By the
you.
way-
I appreciate that. Thank you for self-censoring, Husey.
Just
need
just
to
so you know,
start-
Yuzi's not that bad of a person.
No,
I
of
was
course
at the
not.
beach and I took a picture of my gout foot and I put it right on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like didn't even think about keeping it off.
No, of course. I and again, you want to keep people subscribed. You want them tuned in to future episodes. And again, we do have a large contingent is, of course, audio listeners. So the Hughesy's gout foot is something that not everybody gets to see.
Do we need to do a GoFundMe or a GoFootMe or something? Like, what do you need? How can we help?
Send me money. I will
Okay.
accept money.
I can do that.
So I would like Husey to let people know where they can find his content, including an episode just from this past weekend with Liam, myself, and our friend Kaylee talking about David Lynch, which somehow dragged me into a Twitter conversation with Stevie Lou that I wasn't expecting to wake up to, but there it was. It happened.
Yeah, it's Valentine's Day at the time of recording this, so no better time to watch Blue Velvet, the classic.
True romance.
But
No,
to
not
see-
true romance. That film is a true romance, is what I mean.
Oh, it's funny as well, and if you really hate French people, but you can go, you can find that episode for free on all podcast streams, but the video version is over at Hughes Entertainment on YouTube, and I'm at the Hughesy on Twitter and Instagram. don't DM me or you will be blocked.
Let's see. That's Husey with a Z, right?
Yeah, so that people know that I'm tough.
Yes, I do believe that's what.
And by the way, before we go, since I have you both here, I'm figuring out a way that I can get everyone to watch another Stakeout free, because if we're gonna do this, I don't want you guys to have to pay for it. So we're actually going to be doing another Stakeout podcast. I want to do it in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think we have to. Yeah. Do you want me to try and get Rosie O'Donnell to Skype in?
Yeah, or I can just get my mustache if you really need.
That's fair.
Ironically, a shaving of a mustache is a plot point of another Stakeout too.
Really? I forgot about that.
Chris Tudhill says Valentine's Day, and I'm asking an Irishman for foot pics. I knew it would be earlier Liam was saying maybe the worst Valentine's Day ever, but I think that might take the cake a little bit. Eric Connor, where can people find you?
Well, now that I've survived seeing the foot, you can come and slide into my DMs at Count Eric Connor, ERICCONNER, over on Instagram. I think I still got that up at X, aka Twitter. And if you're local in LA or even in Northern Cali or anywhere in the United States, come out to see myself and El Sassy Pants, Katie, Tuesday night at the Pack Theater. I will be sharing the stage with her in human form. So would love to see you there.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can make it to that. But
when is that?
Tuesday night.
Yeah. Right.
I'll send you the info.
By the way, important question in the chat from the great Go-Go Gadget Wang, Kyle Bellardo. Worst movie with Rosie, another Stakeout or Exit to Eden. Exit to Eden has the distinction of a film that had reshoots done on it. And Rosie had lost a lot of weight for that movie, and then she put
she didn't.
No. She says she did.
She found it.
Oh.
Here's the thing: she put a lot more on.
Right.
So there are scenes where like they walk into a house, and then when they come out of the house, she's like fat again. So
she lost weight. It's just she couldn't see it because it was all attached to her ass. Am I right, folks?
Dana Delaney and Exit to Eden are the only scenes I saw in that film.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
Yeah, more like Exit to Eden. Am I right, guys? That fat bitch.
Another steak in. Am I right, fellas?
Yeah.
Exit to Eden, foots down is what Liam says. And I appreciate that. So, and Liam, speaking of you, where can people find your channel that you're getting up and running at this moment in time?
So as I said, I'm kind of soft launching I'm doing a podcast channel on YouTube also, because it just seems like a good way to make not enough money.
Correct.
So you can, but I'm doing good on that front. I've got almost 1,000, a third of the watch hours I need to start monetizing. I've got a lot of subscribers, but I'd love to get more. Go to seeliam.com, SEELIAM.com, or watchliam.com. And either one of those right now will take you to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting some original content next week. Right now, I'm just posting a lot of like old movies and stuff that I also like. So I premiere those almost every day. And also, I'm premiering old episodes of my podcast that haven't been heard in a decade. I used to have a podcast where I interviewed celebrities and like famous writers and stuff like that. So, just keep an eye on that, because I interviewed. I mean, he's not like a celebrity, but it's like Stephen Tobolowsky I interviewed this week, and him as Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day, and he's been in a million movies. And so next week I'll have John Ronson up, who wrote The Psychopath Test, and Frank, which the movie Frank was based on, and Lewis Black will be up, I think, next week. And so just like keep an eye on that. I'm trying not to. I'm starting to get feedback that I'm putting too much up in terms of that podcast, because there's like stuff people want to listen to, but each podcast is 2 hours, and it's just like too much.
People should realize that just because it gets posted doesn't mean that they have to watch or listen.
No, you have to watch it.
Unless
be successful.
That content is over on the Blackcast, at Blackcast, BLADTCAST. And I'll let Liam keep promoting his channel until the moment he goes one subscriber over me, and then we will not be allowed to talk about it on any of my channels anymore. Please tune in for Marvel Movie Talk. As we mentioned, we'll be doing another special episode about Captain America: Brave New World, and probably a third one because I know when Katie's seeing it. So we'll want to let everybody weigh in on that, and we will be back. I guess a week from today, next Friday, the 21st, we will be finishing up the great Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And I guess we'll be doing that at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on Friday, the 21st. So tune back in for that. And I decided to just piggyback the Geekscape Book Club on that. Get the stream all going at once. We'll be reading Captain America, Symbol of Truth. That is way more than the time we had for now. So we appreciate everybody hanging out. Thank you so much to Eric Connor, Liam McEneany, and the great Adam Hughesy, the H-Man Hughes. We will see everybody on Monday. And until then, as the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!